What's up, guys? Welcome to the Creative Collective podcast. Well, hey, what's up, guys? Thank you so much for joining another episode of the Creative Collective podcast. I have the opportunity to be interviewing some of my really good friends that I've known for a long time. Quite some time now. We actually went to Bible school together. They are a couple that I really love. I admire what they're doing, but I'm going to let them just kind of introduce themselves. So welcome, Daniel and Michelle Cowan. How are you guys doing?
Dude, so great, man. We're so glad to be here. Oh my gosh.
Yes,
like
so
glad.
So happy to have you guys.
Yeah.
Will you just do me a favor, and for the people that are listening or maybe watching, would you just introduce yourselves, let them know who you guys are, where you're from, all that kind of stuff, and what you're currently doing?
Yeah. So I'm Daniel Cowan, and I am from Athens, Georgia. Originally from Athens, Georgia. So
nice.
I've been here been a Georgian for most of my life. So
yes, that's
I am the owner, CEO of Sozo Studios, and also another company called Cowan Creative. And we're also worship pastors. And this is my wife. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Thank you. My name is Michelle. I am from Covington, Georgia originally, and then moved out to Tulsa to go to Bible school, and then moved back and been with Daniel ever since. I am co-founder and co-owner of both Cowan Creative and Sozo Studios.
Yeah.
And also into real estate. So that's also a fun time.
She does do that.
Yes, that's
dude.
so awesome. Well, I'm super excited for you guys. One, because you just made, Daniel, you just made the transition. You guys both just made the transition from what you were doing before, Daniel specifically, into full-time running Sozo Studios and Cowan Creative. Will you kind of just give just a little bit more information of why you decided to do that? Why did you decide to make that jump? Because I feel like a lot of creatives in general, it's hard for us to really step out and take risk, I guess, in this field so and in this area. So what was the reason why you really felt led to do that in this season?
Yeah, man. It's a long journey actually, to that place of really dealing with some of my own, stuff from my past and everything. I had to get over some humps because it was just going from something that I knew was there to something that wasn't. You know what I mean? Like something that's sure. Like a couple years. I'll start. A couple years ago, I was in the banking business. I was in the banking business for like 7 years, and man, I was like, I felt stuck, I guess is the word, and I really felt lost. That was a very dark time for me. Most people in the banking business, they were talking about career paths, being there for years. And I was like, I don't want this, I don't want to be in the banking business all my life and then retire. I just that's never been my heart. It's never been something that I wanted to do. And, I just while I was there, nothing against the people there at all at the bank. Cause they feel called to do it. It's great. I just didn't. And I just felt suppressed, and I got into a state of depression, really bad. Michelle will tell you, I lost myself, I lost my personality, I lost who I was, and I was just like, man, what in the world am I doing? And so about 3 years ago, it was a year before the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
It was the year before the pandemic happened. I just got tired of it. I was just like, Lord, I can't do this any longer. I was like, provide a path for me to get out and at least step out and use my faith somehow. So I talked to my brother Jonathan, and at the time we were living together because they were looking for a place. They had just got married, and so they were living with us. And I just talked to him about some of that, and he had been feeling some of the same things. And so we made the decision to jump from the banking business into the mortgage industry. So we felt like that was the right move. It got us out of the day-to-day, mundane, like 9 to 5, like clock in, clock out, feeling there, into something that was fully commissioned. We had to use our faith to actually, live. So, so we got our mortgage license. We stepped out into that, and it was great. But again, like I was in there for about a year and a half, and it was just about a month ago, I guess. Yeah, it was about a month ago. I just felt like I needed to make the next move. And that was to step fully into something that I know that God has for me. Like he's called me to for a long time, and I've just been like putting on hold. And I'm like, and just making excuse after excuse,
I feel like one of the biggest things too was like, am I really good enough to do this?
Yeah.
Because there's so many other companies doing this.
Yes, that was a huge thing.
Am I really good enough to do this? Like,
yeah, that was definitely something I had to battle.
So
it's
good.
Like, yeah. There's so many videographers out there. There's so many photographers out there. There's so many creatives out there. It's like, how am I different? Yeah, and
for sure.
Why would they use me over that person? And I had to really get over that. And so that journey was really just a soul journey, like of healing my soul. So it was like, I went through that, and at the same time, she was going through the same thing. And I'll let you share a little bit about that in a second. But so there was so much like soul healing that had to take place for me to actually step out into what God wanted me to do. Because I really had to nail down like who God is to me, who I am to Him, like, and just make that concrete in my life. Because again, like being in the banking business, I just got into that such a mundane day-to-day, just, I get up, go to work, clock in, come home, we eat dinner, we chill in front of the TV for a while, and then go to bed. Same thing every day, And it was just like, it was again, just that state of depression. So I had to really like uproot some of those lies that have been planted in my heart for so long. And it took a while. It took a few years really for me to like really uproot that, and dig deep into that. She was a great help with that. I mean, such a great help in that. Such a great encourager.
Like, it's a constant thing too.
It really is.
You're constantly uprooting lies that you didn't even realize existed. And and coming into the fullness of who you actually are. And I know for me, especially, I've dealt with a lot of abandonment in my life. When I was a kid, my biological father left. There was some unfaithfulness there, and then with my dad, my stepfather who came in and took over, it was this thing of, okay, well, money's more important. I need to make sure I'm providing for you. That's what his way of loving. But again, it was the enemy reinforcing that lie of you're not wanted and, abandonment. And so I had created this whole false personality around that. And I was living out of that for years, like ever since we got married. And so over the last couple of years, the Lord has really broke me out of that and into who I actually am and, the personality He's called me to be. And so I'm able to be that, the authority-driven woman that can be an ops boss.
Well, that was something that, you had dealt with for so long, like that, she has a strong personality, which is great, and I love that about her. But for a lot of her life before, that was suppressed. It was like, you're too strong, you're too much.
No man wants to be with a woman that has an opinion.
Yeah, and that
was told to me.
Yeah, so it was like, so that was just lies that had to be uprooted. So we both went through that journey together of just that soul healing of coming into who we are in Christ. And things like that. And so
let's
all of that.
Can I
go ahead?
Can I interject real quick? Because I feel like all of this actually ties into one of the reasons why your company is called the name that it is. Can we go into the name, which is brilliant for me? And I remember actually talking to you. This was probably like a year ago. We've been trying to connect a lot, and I was in the middle of launching Nominals Creative, but tell us a little bit about the redemptive nature of Sozo and what the name Sozo Studio actually really means for people that maybe are unfamiliar with the term.
Yeah. So sozo is actually a biblical term. And the actual meaning of it is wholeness, completeness, not just physically, but it's physically, spiritually, and in your soul, your mind, will, and emotions, complete wholeness. And so, that name was really rooted into that journey that we went through, was coming into that wholeness, that we are whole in him, not just physically, not just spiritually, but in our soul, mind, will, and emotions, and getting that nailed down. So that's where that name came from, was that. And I knew
it's so good to me, because it's like, now you get to help other people in their stories of wholeness.
Yep.
And not just on a personal note, but like on a videography standpoint, on a storytelling level. Like, what does it mean to actually be whole? Like, when you called me and told me it's sozo, I was like, bro, that is so brilliant, because at the end of the day, that's what filmmaking is. It's telling people stories, and it's telling the brokenness of homes. It's telling the brokenness of this. It's telling the brokenness of that. And then you guys have a way where you can actually bring it to restoration. You can bring it to redemption. You can bring it into a new light. And so, when you first told me about that, I was like, dude, that you guys like, that is gold in general, because I think everybody is going through that. Even me personally, like there's so many deep moments happening in my personal life right now. That's like, we need complete wholeness. Like I need it for myself. I need to be whole. I need to be healed of the things that are so deep. And I remember we had a more just personal friend conversation just about like what that actually means, and in the circles that we grew up in, it's kind of a foreign language for a lot of people. And it's a different kind of concept. It's a forbidden language for a lot of people. Exactly. But I think it's so needed, and it just, for me, I think even on the media standpoint, you think about like social media. Like I ran a social media company, not because it's popular. I actually run a social media company because it is not just popular, but it's needed, for one. And then two, people need to see people that are actually walking in wholeness and health. And what does social media actually look like on a healing level? Your platform is not used just for you, just to be all willy-nilly with, right? Your platform is used for a specific purpose, a specific reason. And so I think with Sozo Studios, I believe that you guys are really going to move and shift some of the dynamics of what media actually really is, and turn what the enemy, I guess, the devil meant for evil, and turn it into good, and morph, what has been stolen in general, and what was God's intent, which he created to be used for him. And so let's talk about some of the like just projects or different things that you guys have going on. Like maybe something that you're really excited about, or maybe something that you feel like, because I really want to kind of change the conversation just a little bit in what collaboration looks like.
Definitely.
In general. I know that you guys have walked as worship leaders and been a part of your dad's church out there in Georgia for many, many years. I think that teams in the church front, it's easy for us to kind of like do life with teams, because without teams, the church really can't function, right? Without people, it cannot move. Now, on the flip side of that, when it comes to creatives, I feel like we're all creative, but when it comes to the creatives, as far as what we're talking about, videography, graphic design, web design, social media, all that kind of stuff, I feel like we can, become isolated, and feel like we're doing something alone, right? We're sitting in front of a computer, we're editing this podcast, we're editing that, we're editing this graphic, we're filming this, and it feels like, okay, we're really alone. How do you guys, on your level, as running your business, or maybe even in worship or in the church front, how do you guys really allow collaboration to be a part of your daily communication or your daily lives?
So it's honestly, like, collaboration is so key. So when we built Sozo Studios, we built that around that. It wasn't just us. I mean, at first I was like, I could start this company, Sozo Studios, I have this idea, blah, blah, blah. But then God really started bringing people into our life, and we have a small group at church, and it was like strategic how God brought people into that small group, and we just connected. Like, we connected more, not just on a friend level, but deeper than that, because they were creatives as well. And so the idea of Sozo Studios was our idea, but it only grew because of the collaboration with them. So Sozo is owned by 5 people. It's owned by myself, Michelle, and then also Chris Steinberg is one of my friends, Paula Kernall, and then Kate Latham. So all 5 of us, we all have different things that we bring to the table. I didn't want just my point of view, is when you get stuck by yourself, you're stuck with one point of view and that's it.
And the only way you're going to be able to actually grow is to surround yourself with people who think differently than you. And that's
key.
That's a huge thing. I think a lot of times, you know, it's scientifically proven that you draw people to yourself that are like you.
Yeah.
So it's effort to go find people that are different.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so that was one of our huge things that we wanted, that we wanted to do was to get people that they think differently than we do.
Yeah.
But also,
so key.
We
didn't want yes men. That was so key for my business.
Being open to feedback.
Yes. Like
being open to feedback. Being with told, no, maybe we shouldn't do that right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And not taking it personally,
exactly.
you know, because there are things, there are different perspectives, different things like, well, with us. So I've been doing videography, photography for a while now. And then other things. Michelle, she has another point of view when it comes to that. She sees things through artwork. Like she draws, she sketches, things like that. She also has a very operational, you know, mind.
Systems.
Systems.
How can we fix the system here?
Yeah. My buddy Chris, he's been in videography for years. He knows front and back. Like he's super good at that. Kate, she's been an actress. She's been on the other side of the cameras, and she's also been a producer. So she knows that role. And then Paula, she's been operating and doing social media content, marketing, and all that for a long time. So it's just surrounding yourself with people that think differently than you. It's so important.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
You know, and not doing this by yourself, not making sure you don't isolate yourself. Even Jesus didn't isolate himself.
Oh my, yeah.
That's the thing. Like even Jesus, the Son of God, he brought 12 people to be around him and to be close with him.
He even brought somebody that he knew would betray him.
Yes, exactly.
Like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, that's love. So it's just like, realizing that, you know, I can't do this by myself.
And not being afraid of, you know, issues that will arise with people.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So that's another question that I have for you, because I feel like as creatives, one, we can be very picky, we can be isolated, and we can also be critical.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
And working with a team of people.
Yeah.
And I love what you guys are saying, because what you're saying is great teams don't think alike. Great teams actually think differently than each other, and that's what makes them great. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But then they can play the same game together in unity, in one. They have different mindsets. They have different way of moving these pieces down, whatever. And
same goal.
It's the same goal, right? Yeah. But let's talk about what it means to actually, I guess let's get a little bit more of if you guys have an example of maybe a moment where there's been tension in your team. So tension in either team. You can go work, you can go Sozo, you can go whatever you want to do. But what does it look like to actually problem solve and look at each other's feedback and criticism and all these different things? What does that actually mean when you work together in tension for you guys?
Yeah, that's so good. Do you want to take that one?
Sure. I think one of the biggest things is connection, and just making sure, number one,
connection before content.
Yes, connection before content, making sure you're connected to your collaborators before you present the issue is huge. But also owning yourself and not blame. Like for me, what I've been learning in this season is, okay, I don't need to judge this person based on what they said. You know, because I don't know what's in their heart. So for me, it's like, okay, I need to own myself and my feelings. And if I feel hurt, let me go to that person. Okay, what you said, I'm not really understanding here. Help me connect the dots here. What was that feedback about? Because like, in order to grow, I need to be able to take feedback well. And that's the only way the company is going to grow and get better. And, you know, with our production and everything is to be able to take that feedback and then funnel it into an action and take action, you know?
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
Yes. That's so good.
And realizing that, you know, just because they're, you know, have a different perspective or different viewpoint, or they may not quite like the route you're going with it, it doesn't mean they don't like you.
Yeah.
You know, don't take it personally.
Yeah, because they want the best for the company too.
Not looking at it. Yeah. So, so just making sure that we have some examples probably more in the worship side of things than we do in this, because leading worship and leading a whole team like that, you know, that comes into play all the time. So, you know, like making sure that, you know, you have those healthy conversations that, as a leader, I can take that feedback myself, like and making sure that they're comfortable giving that to me, making sure I give them that place, because there's so many times that leaders don't give that place to their team or to their people. And so if you don't give them that place, they're not ever going to grow or get comfortable in sharing that information with you.
Yeah.
So good.
And so that is key.
Good.
That is key to open yourself up to that feedback, to that criticism, because it's
creating a culture.
Creating that culture. Yeah, that culture of confrontation. That's what you want. Where I can give it, but I can take it. You know.
Yeah.
And we're not on the other side of that. We're good. You know. We're going to be fine. You know. And just being able to take that criticism, that feedback, and grow from it. So,
and it's always constructive too. And that's something that people need to learn, is how to give constructive criticism and not toxic criticism.
Yeah.
You know, how to be professional.
So
you know, and so, but also having grace for the people who don't know how to do that yet.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, because
I feel like
a lot of people that don't. Well, there's a lot of people that don't.
No, I was just going to say that there's so many wide spectrums of people, especially leading from when I was pastoring and leading at my church that I go to still, called The Well, and on the creative team. Like, there's a moment where you have to value everyone's opinions, right?
Yeah.
But then there's also a moment where you have to push back. And say, okay, well, where did that opinion come from?
Exactly.
Right. So it's just like, you have to like kind of ebb and flow with each other. I always look at creativity as a dance, right? It's if you're collaborating with somebody, then they have it in their hand. And when it's in their hand, they have it in their hand. So don't speak up. Don't, you know, they have it in their hand. It's in their court. And then when they throw it back to you, then you have something to say, right? It's this dance and this ebb and flow that goes back and forth. It's trusting each other. It's leaning on each other. And then it's assuming the best qualities within each other. I feel like with creative teams in general, even with leading now a team of, I have 7 or 8 on my team for Anomalous. It's like, there's so many, and we're all remote. Most of us. And so one, like, we're in like Slack talking about revisions and all these different things. And we can have 50 different revisions for one, 50 comments for one, like one graphic. And it's like, if we were every single time, like, and sometimes it does get overwhelming, because especially for the person that's doing the graphic design, especially for the person that's editing, it can become very overwhelming in times, but you have to know, like, no. Like, that person didn't mean it that way. They're looking out, like you said, Michelle, for the company. They're looking out for the bigger picture. They're looking out for each other. Exactly. And so you have to assume the best motive, the highest motive within each other. And if it's not, we have to be able to teach each other and walk through that process with one another.
That's right.
My next question for you guys would be, when did you first realize that you had a gift of creativity?
Wow. So
long ago.
It was, for me, like, when I was growing up, you know, I grew up in the church, you know, and stuff. And so with that, we started, I guess this was probably mid 2000s, late 2000s. We started doing children's church videos. Like, we did our own curriculum. And so we started making our own. We were like, why don't we just make our own videos to connect with the kids? And so we came up with these ideas, we filmed them, we edited them and everything. And so it really started then, was because after we created all those, we saw the results and saw how much the kids loved them, you know, and how much it affected their life and how much they remembered because of it. So my love grew from that. And then at Rhema, when I was there, I don't know, remember if we were talking or what happened. But anyways, the Lord really spoke up inside of me and just told me, like, exactly what I was called to. It was like, you're called to 3 M's: media, music, and ministry. Those
4
things.
M's.
Well, Michelle.
Michelle. Oh, there you go. I was like, where's the part? Yeah, that's good. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So good.
So
good.
So yeah. So then I didn't know, like at that time, I didn't know, like how do those three things, how do they cooperate with each other?
Like, how do they go together?
How is this even going to work? You know, I always knew I was called to the ministry. Music was something that was birthed because of Michelle. She really brought that out of me. And then media was just a desire I had in my heart. I just loved creating that. So music, we stepped into that. We became worship leaders. We've been doing that for years, and everything. And we're still doing that, still want to have that very much in our life and even greater in the future. So that's huge. Ministry is all part of that. But then like, I was like, but the media, like, how does that work with this? You know?
Yeah.
And then the Lord really just started, it's during the pandemic is when it happened, started bringing this vision to life. And I was like, wow, I can see this. It was just like this little puzzle piece here, this little thing here. And then God brought these people in my life and then grew this thing and vision inside of me. And then I was like, okay, I see it. This is how it's going to work. They're all three going to work together like this, this, and this, and this, you know? Wow. So it was super cool. That was me. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
But
I think the biggest one for me has always been music, but with the media, you know, I actually struggled for a little bit. It's like, how am I going to fit into his media vision? You know?
Yeah.
How do I fit in that?
How do I fit into this? Like, for me, I don't really do. I mean, I assist him with photography and videography, but like, I've never had any experience with that. So for me, it was like, I don't know how do I fit in? And so like, but God has been really like guiding me and navigating, helping me navigate through that and finding, okay, well, I know what my strengths are, but like also it's amazing to see what comes out of me in the moment, you know, and just rolling with it. Yeah. Because a lot of times people get analysis paralysis. Like, how is this going to work? How am I going to do this? But like, sometimes you just got to step out and do it. Yeah. But anyway, for me, like, and then with the ministry, I feel like that just intertwines with like our everyday too. And like through Sozo, we're able to minister to people and show love to people because
so good.
People don't feel loved.
Yeah.
They really don't.
That's the thing.
Yeah. It's a wide spectrum. That's so good. So going back to collaboration, when I was actually studying for like this first season, I had like a litany of notes and just thoughts and different things like going through my mind when I was kind of just dreaming up what this like podcast would be. And I felt like the Holy Spirit kind of just told me collaborative expression is allowing others to see the hidden thoughts or dreams and making them come to life through accountability.
Dude, that's so good.
And so for me, and it's so hard because I'm now on the other side of it, not necessarily full-time pastoring. But I feel like there's just a lot of creatives that I'm friends with that are just coming to me and saying, "Oh, how did you step out? Why did you step out? Oh my goodness, that must have took so much faith." I'm like, I did all of the above. It absolutely did. But what I really feel like, especially for this season in particular, and what I'm so passionate about, especially for individuals that may be freelancers, not to say that freelancing is not okay, because everybody needs to do it. You can do it, you know, it's fine. There's not necessarily, it's not a bad thing to do that. But what I'm really saying is that in order to be collaborative, you actually have to be held accountable. It's really holding each other's giftings into accountability. It's saying, hey, like from a graphic design, from photography, from videography, from social media, whatever it may be, it's literally holding each other accountable. And I feel like the problem that we're facing, especially in our generation, I feel like with a lot of creatives leaving the church in general, like not even volunteering anymore. One, because I do feel like there's unhealth within the church with abusing creatives. Absolutely. I wholeheartedly believe that. But on the flip side of it, I'm like, your gifts were never made for you to use for yourself.
Exactly.
Your gifts are always made to use to increase others.
Glorify God.
And, you know, and glorify God. And so when did we get to this point in our lives, especially our generation, which we struggle with it a lot, and generation that's coming up behind us, is that we don't want to be held accountable. And so I feel like the reason why a lot of people are actually going to be freelancers and going off on their own is because at the end of the day, we don't want to be held accountable.
Exactly.
Exactly
That's
right.
So
true,
for you guys, what advice or what in your heart would you speak in this area of collaboration, especially to maybe freelancers or people that have left the church, creatives that have left the church and maybe gotten unplugged and maybe said, well, I can do it by myself, or I'm making more money, or I'm doing this and doing that. What advice would you give those people that may be dealing with that right now in this season of their life?
Yeah.
I think everything comes down to relationships. And if you don't have relationships with other people, then you don't have a business.
Yeah.
Period.
That's so
So
good.
if if you're going out and you're like, I'm going to do this on my own, and you have that mindset,
you're prostituting your gift.
you're not going to grow because
That's
you're
what
not
it
going to
is.
be in relationships with people, and people don't want to be in business with somebody that's out for themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
That'll
good.
reflect in your creative work immediately. Like it'll reflect. And so like, the Lord gave us these gifts to use. He's not saying don't use it for money, don't use it for this, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But when it becomes for yourself, that's when you start prostituting it.
Yeah.
And that's that at that point it becomes selfish. And then your creativity level will it's not God doing it. It's just generally speaking, if you're by yourself, your creativity level will just automatically it'll shrink. I've been there, done that. I know from experience that's what happens. When you isolate yourself, your creativity level just shrinks.
I feel like a lot of that is fear driven too. Like the reason why people isolate themselves is
that's
because
definitely
they're afraid
100%.
of rejection.
100%.
And when it comes to business and when it comes to growth, you have to get over that fear of rejection. Come into realization of who you are.
One other thing in relation to the church as well, creatives, they have a hard time setting boundaries.
Oh my gosh.
That's the issue. Like, if you don't know how to set boundaries, even with the church, with people in general, you'll burn yourself out.
Oh my gosh,
and then at that point, you then tend to isolate yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what people do all the time. That's why creatives. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Let's be real.
Yeah. Definitely. So that's why creatives leave the church most of the time. It's because of burnout, because like they just feel used for their gift, not for anything else. So it's partially the church's fault, but it's also partially you not expressing your boundary there and saying, okay, this is my line.
I'm in control of myself here.
Yeah.
I can't control everyone else around me, but the one person I can control on a good day is myself.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, that there a lot of power comes with being able to say that and being able to.
There is. And like not being afraid to express that, it may hurt somebody for just a second, but when they realize, oh, wait a minute, I am pushing them too hard here, then they'll come back and they'll like say, okay, yeah, your boundaries are your boundaries, man. Like, I don't want to cross that. So you express to me what your boundaries are here, and then we'll go with that.
Also, you can only give what you have.
That's true.
If you've given out and given out and given out and you're empty, you're not gonna be able to give anymore because you've already given it all out. That's why you have to take a step back and set the boundary and say, okay, this is what I've purposed in my heart to give.
Yeah.
Like
So
the word
good.
says.
Yeah.
Then
So
you can give that out and you can say, okay, I'm not crossing that line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And being okay
Yeah,
with
so
setting
good.
that.
You have
So
to
good.
value yourself.
Yeah. You do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
you have to
I'm
value
I'm even guilty of literally not setting boundaries.
Me too.
One of the reasons why I've been in so much unhealth is because I haven't set healthy
Yes.
boundaries. Let's be honest. On a
Same.
personal note, marriage
Amen.
note,
Yeah.
whatever, creative
Everything.
note, pastor note, everything. Because I feel like for me, and even just in my personality, people require a lot out of me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love helping people. Don't get me wrong. I love genuinely
me too.
reaching people and loving on them and helping them in the darkest moments.
I see a need. I'm like, let me feel that.
I see a need. I want to feel it. Yeah, I really do. I genuinely, authentically, really care about people. But to what expense? At what cost?
Yes.
When we start losing ourselves in the middle of it, we're really not helping them.
Oh man.
And that's where like when I'm like in this process of healing still today, like I'm literally talking, I'm in healing now. Like there's deep things that are happening now, right now. That I'm talking with God right now, this moment. Like I literally just cried this morning. Dude. I'm like, it's right now. God is doing the work in my heart right now, in my family, in my life, in my company. And so it's real time. I'm not speaking of like, oh, this is past. This is like 5 years ago where I was unhealthy. Like I'm getting out of unhealth now. Like right now in this moment. But I really want to encourage the people that maybe have stepped out of like your accountability, your resources, your people that really can not only just encourage you, but that actually can spur, like the Bible is very clear about spurring on one another. And cheering each other on in their gifting, and iron sharpens iron, and all of these different things. And the reason why I really do love you guys as well is because we actually spur each other on in our creative companies.
Definitely.
Like this is one thing that I feel like when God first told me to start Anomalous Creative was to break the mold of isolation, when it comes to creatives, freelancers, all that thing, but also to break the mold and stereotypes with creative company to other creative companies. Because right now, creative companies are going out the wazoo. Like you said earlier,
they're everywhere.
Like, why would I need to start another creative company? For what?
Exactly.
Like everybody's doing it. Everybody wants to do it. It's like the new fad. It's the new thing.
Exactly.
But I had to be obedient because I feel like there's a different blueprint that God has given me that no one else has, and the same for Sozo. There's a different blueprint that God has given you in the creative field to really advance the creative field with your whole heart and in healing, and to step out and to teach people to walk in healing from a creative standpoint, from a collaborative standpoint, for whatever it is. And so as you guys have been creating, what has been something that has really stuck out to you in general when it comes not only to collaboration, but when it comes to innovation? A lot of people look at innovation differently, and really a lot of people say there's no new idea underneath the sun, which I believe that, and really no thought. I was in a podcast earlier recording one, and I don't know when this is going to come out, but I was recording one earlier, and my buddy, he's a Fresh Life creative pastor for Levi Lusko, and he literally says, well, I don't believe that there is no innovative idea. There's no new idea. First, if you have an idea, it's because God gave it to you. And I was just like,
that's so true, man.
Takes all the pressure off of you, doesn't it?
It takes all the pressure off of you. But on our like in your mind and in your heart, what are some things that you feel like God is really pushing in your mind and your heart to push the envelope in when it comes to the church, and then when it comes to maybe other people that you work with that are outside the church? What is a prime example of what that looks like right now in your lives?
So in relation to, I guess, our companies and what we want to do
innovate, like any ideas that you guys really feel like, oh man, like God is really putting this in my heart right now to push out.
Yeah, man. So there's one thing in particular, there's, the Lord's had this on my heart for a while to do a short film based on, basically what I was going through a few years ago. Of the mundane 9 to 5 clock in, clock out type of life. It's basically headphones in, head down. I'm going my way and doing my own thing. And so I want to create, and this is something that I'm drawing up the ideas and concept right now to do. I want to create a video that basically, answers that question of like, okay, what am I here for? Because so many people, they just go and through their everyday life and they do their thing and they just get stuck, and that happens so many times, but waking people up and to the realization that there are people around you that have stories, that are going through things, that I have the Holy Spirit on the inside of me, that I can go and minister to that person. I have the answer. The answer is walking by the question, basically. And I want to, I'm in the process of creating a project on that, and I'm really excited about it. So that's something that I want to do. And yeah, just like what you said is like, when it comes to like innovation, when it comes to creative content, there are no new ideas under the sun, but there are new perspectives. And that's the thing. because, when you look at the Gospels, I mean, you have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They're all climbing the same mountain, but they're all have different perspectives on the same thing. So it's just making sure that you realize I have a different perspective than that person does. They may have created something similar to this, but they're not going to do it in the same way.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's just realizing that. And I'm going to speak to people that they're not going to speak to.
Yeah.
Wow.
So do you have anything to add?
I just love that. I just love what you said. That's brilliant. And your voice. That's really what it is. It's giving people a voice, to, I love your story, telling your story. I feel like that's also a lot of other people's story.
It is. It really is. So that's something, but in the long run, I really would love to get into movies and, even animation, things like that, and really revolutionize the entertainment industry when it comes to Christians, the Christian perspective, and that it's not just like this lame thing. I know The Chosen, they're doing a great job with what they're doing. That's so awesome, but more of that, because for so long, the Christians have run away from that because they're like, oh, that's the devil's industry. That's the devil's thing.
No, it's not.
It's not. It's why don't we just take that for the Lord? I mean, there's no reason why we can't.
Absolutely.
So in the long run, I would love to get into that. So that's kind of our.
Let's go.
Our distant vision
long-term
there.
vision.
Long-term vision there.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah. Well, man, I love what you guys are bringing to not only the body, but just to lives and people. Yeah. Because I do believe that it is bigger than what you guys can imagine. Yeah. And I am praying for you. I'm cheering you on. And it's a God-sized dream that only he can fill. You know what I mean? And so right. I want you guys to know that we're in your corner. Anomalous Creative. We're in your corner. Dude, we're cheering you guys on.
I'm so thankful for you guys. Andrew, man, you've been such a great friend. I know we haven't talked for the a lot because of our lives are so busy, but man, you always have you always have a special place in my heart, man.
For sure, man. Yes. Well, I love you guys. Love you. Thank you so much for joining. If you guys want to follow these guys on socials, it is, what are your socials? Sozo Studios, Cowan Creative.
Yep, Sozo Studio. So it's at sozostudios.co and then Cowan at Cowan Creative Co. Yeah.
So good.
So those are our two business ones. And you can always follow us personally, Daniel Cowan and Michelle Cowan.
So good. Yeah. Well, I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining. If you guys are watching this or listening to it, make sure you subscribe, like, hit the notifications, do all the things. And we'll see you right back here for another episode of the Creative Collective Podcast. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, we'll see ya. Love you too, man.